Prince William held crisis talks with senior aides on his week-long tour around the Caribbean after it was hit by a series of PR gaffes and protests. The Duke told advisors he had to step up to add his own voice and confront issues of slavery reparations and anti-monarchist sentiment. Their intense 8-day-long tour around Belize, Jamaica and the Bahamas ended this morning when Prince William and Kate Middleton boarded their RAF Voyager at Nassau International Airport. Hours before boarding their flight, Prince William released an unprecedented end-of-tour statement addressing growing Republican sentiment in the 3 Caribbean countries, acknowledging it had brought into even sharper focus questions about the past and the future. The royal couple faced backlash, the first on an official tour for the pair, after encountering tensions in Caribbean nations, but the statement from the future King of Belize, Jamaica and the Bahamas, may put the current political and cultural landscape to an end. A senior palace source told The Mirror, he was keen to be heard and certainly thought there was a need to get ahead of the raft of negative headlines. He said he needed to make it clear that any of the Caribbean nations he had visited were totally free and completely supported in any decision they may make in the future to choose their own destiny. But he wanted to go further than that, which is why the Duke made special mention of the Commonwealth in his speech. He's been thinking about these issues for a long time and realizes the role he occupies is increasingly important to be able to adapt in an ever-changing world. Details of the impromptu summit came as it emerged tonight that William, 39, wants to modernize the monarchy by ending its long-standing, never complain, never explain policy. He is said to respect the approach favored by his father and grandmother but believes the royals' actions should be agile to survive and thrive. A source told the Mail, the prince believes that for him, the days of never complain are over. He definitely won't be speaking out regularly but believes if the monarchy has something to say, then it should say it. Earlier in the tour, he tackled Britain's historic role in the abhorrent slave trade, expressing his sorrow that it ever happened to Jamaican dignitaries, following anti-colonial protests in Jamaica and Belize, but fell short of a full apology. There was also a protest outside the British High Commission by Republicans also demanding slavery reparations from Britain and the royals. He spoke out on a tricky tour for the royals, where the Cambridges were greeted like rock stars by the public but politicians, including Prime Minister Andrew Holness, used meetings to make clear in public they will push for the island to be a republic with a referendum this year. In the landmark speech, William also referred to his father's previous condemnation of slavery, but stopped short of apologizing for the royal family's part in the trade. He said, "I strongly agree with my father, the Prince of Wales, who said in Barbados last year that the appalling atrocity of slavery forever stains our history. I want to express my profound sorrow. Slavery was abhorrent, and it should never have happened." He continued, "While the pain runs deep, Jamaica continues to forge its future with determination, courage and fortitude. The strength and shared sense of purpose of the Jamaican people, represented in your flag and motto, celebrate an invincible spirit. It is this same spirit that spurred on the Windrush generation, who came to the United Kingdom to help rebuild after the Second World War. We are forever grateful for the immense contribution that this generation and their descendants have made to British life, which continues to enrich and improve our society. I am delighted that a national monument acknowledging and celebrating the Windrush generation by Jamaican artist, Basil Watson, will be unveiled later this year in Waterloo Station in London. Barbados replaced the Queen as head of state in November, and elected its first president during a ceremony witnessed by the Prince of Wales. William's comments at the end of his Caribbean tour are an acknowledgement of forces already in motion, as Jamaica's Prime Minister Andrew Holness suggested to the couple his country may be the next to become a republic. And a minister from Belize's government told his parliament, a few days after the Cambridges left, perhaps it is time for Belize to take the next step in truly owning our independence. The statement, which comes against the backdrop of the Queen's growing frailty and doubts about whether she will be able to attend the Duke of Edinburgh's memorial service on Tuesday, effectively concedes that cracks are appearing in the Commonwealth, which has been the pride of her 70-year reign. By breaking the monarchy's age-old never complain, never explain mantra, the Duke was signaling that the tour of Belize, Jamaica and the Bahamas had not gone as expected. One walkabout led to heavily criticized pictures of the Duke and Duchess shaking hands with impoverished children through a fence in Trench Town, Jamaica. To wave their goodbyes to Bahamian officials at Nassau International Airport in the Bahamas, Kate wore a yellow floral peplum dress by Alessandra Rich and William donning a navy suit and burgundy tie. In their final day of the royal tour, the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge visited coral restoration farm Coral Beta on Grand Bahama at the site of an Earthshot Prize winner in the final engagement of the Royal Caribbean Tour. The organization won the Revive Our Oceans category at Prince William's Earthshot Prize Awards last year in recognition of their groundbreaking work to give new life to dying coral reefs. They capped off their troubled Queen's Platinum Jubilee trip by dropping in on old friends Sam Tyker and Gator Halpern at Coral Beta. Kate, 40, matched the color of the coral farms protected by the entrepreneurs by wearing coral pink Rixo dress. The Duke had spoken to the winners of the Revive Our Oceans in his £50 million scheme to fight climate change on a video call after the star-studded prize show last September. But this was the first time the Duke has visited one of the 5 2021 winners. As he arrived, he said, "Here they are. Look who it is, the famous double act." The award-winning entrepreneurs showed William and Kate a mark on the wall how high the water reached during Hurricane Dorian in 2019. Wills said, "That's incredible." Spotting the Earthshot Prize mounted on the wall, William waved his hands in delight and said, "You've done a good job with it." Sam and Galen took Wills to see several of the 28 water tanks where they are growing damaged coral. It can take a year to grow a so-called micro-piece until it is large enough to be replanted on the seabed. They also showed how to brush off the algae to keep the coral healthy. Coral Beta also heat the tanks to the correct temperature to add resilience to the coral so when it goes into the sea it can adapt easily to warming oceans caused by climate change. Staggered Wills said, "Are you saying because of climate change is so fast it coral is not having enough time to adapt you are making happen in a faster time frame?" Sam Tyker added, "We stress harden the coral." The Duchess then gave a helping hand at Coral Vita's mangrove nursery. She potted and watered a mangrove, then shook muddy hands with some of the volunteers. She laughed it, adding, "Don't worry, I am used to it. I've got 3 kids." The Duke then climbed aboard a boat and was taken out into the sea to plant some coral. The media were not allowed to join William, who was accompanied by his personal photographer who he Cambridges had funded to join them on the tour. Photographs and video of William underwater will be released in the autumn, it is understood. Will's yacht was led into the sea by a Bahamas police boat, carrying 10 people including medic and 8 uniformed officers. They are spending their winnings on hitting an ambitious target to plant 10,000 new corals by the end of June 2022 to mark World Oceans Day. And have installed a new Earthshot Happy tank at the farm which grows coral even faster. Pals Sam and Gator met studying at Yale School of Forestry and Environmental Studies. They give new life to coral by farming 25 indigenous coral on land and planting them in the sea. Coral farming is the process whereby fragments of corals are collected from local reefs, raised in farms until mature. The coral grows 50 times faster than traditional methods and provides resilience to the impact of climate change. William and Kate also visited a fish fry yesterday, with Kate trying local delicacy conch pistol, said to have the same effect as Viagra. Kate held up the strip of flesh, which comes from the inside of the conch, and is commonly said to be the conch's male genitalia, before putting it in her mouth to gain a round of applause from the crowds. The Duchess said, "I am a little bit more adventurous than William is." As the pair joked around, he said, "I can handle it." Their final stop on the island of Abaco saw the Duke and Duchess visit a fish fry, a quintessentially Bahamian culinary gathering place which is found on every island in the Bahamas. She added that she had already tried conch fritters but had yet to try conch salad. She then got hold of a knife and helped stall owner J. Cow Adderley, 39, who owns the Cow Conch stall. They were offered conch salad. William said, "Ladies first," before Kate tried it and said, "Delicious." Mr. Adderley said, "She was a good helper. I'd like her to stay and help me at the stall." William then made an impromptu stop at a bar. He slapped the bar top and said, "This is my stop." William was offered a gullywash, coconut juice with condensed milk. He seemed to enjoy it and joked, "You guys talk amongst yourself, I am staying here." They moved on to stalls by the beach where vendors were selling handbags and homemade honey. While talking to stall owner Kimberly Roberts, 49, of Abaco Ceramics, William looked at the honey for sale in jars on the table, then pointed to Kate and said, "Catherine has bees at home." They then tried some lobster salad at the Island Fusion street food stall before moving on to a walkabout to greet local people. The Duke and Duchess shook hands with well-wishers and spoke to people about the effects of the hurricane. William turned on the chance to hold a baby but agreed to pose next to it. They also met Stephen Gardiner, a Bahamian 400 meters Olympic champion. It comes after they visited a church in the Bahamas that has been rebuilt after it was destroyed during Hurricane Dorian in 2019 as their Caribbean tour comes to a close. The couple also went to Abaco's Memorial Wall to remember the many victims of the hurricane. The Duchess laid flowers and they paused for a moment's silence. John Pinder, an Abaco MP, told them the British were some of the first to arrive with aid in the immediate aftermath and that they would never forget it. He added, Abaconians far and wide look forward to a friendship with Great Britain for many, many, many years to come. The Duke of Cambridge played a madcap game of football with a group of young boys from the Grand Bahama Children's Home as his Caribbean tour drew to a close. William took a shine to a 13-year-old who used a wheelchair, and when he asked the boy what he wanted to do, the youngster replied, "Play soccer," and they head towards 2 goals. The future king was visiting the center with wife Kate to meet the youngsters in the home's extensive garden and learn about their lives. The Duke and his newfound friend were quickly joined by other small boys, and at one stage there were 4 footballs on the pitch whizzing around with William in goal. Next on the 13-year-old's list was a nearby swing and slide, and he was pushed by the Duke in their direction. William later quipped he knows that LL say yes. As the 13-year-old and 2 other boys swing up in the air, a concerned Duke smiled but said, "These swings are very high, guys, please don't fall off." The Grand Bahama Children's Home provides a loving home environment to vulnerable children who are not able to live with their families. Since it was established in 1977 by the local community, the home has cared for over 900 children and now looks after around 30 children ranging from 1 to 17. When the Cambridges first arrived, they sat at large table covered in a colorful mosaic design, and with some of the younger children filled in the final pieces. Kate asked one little girl dressed in a pink tutu and tiara, "Is that going to fit in?" and said yes as the youngster slotted the piece of ceramic home, adding, "You look very lovely, I love your tiara." They also unveiled a plaque outside the entrance of the Grand Bahamas Children's Home. Education Secretary Nadim Zahawi has praised Prince William for his very wise words after the royal admitted he might never be head of the Commonwealth, claiming the dramatic statement will have strengthened the future of the Association of Nations. But Mr. Zahawi said today that the statement was not a sign of the beginning of for the Commonwealth, but rather the beginning of strengthening for the Association of Nations. Appearing on Sky News, he added, "Because I think, actually, Prince William, and first know he believes deeply in the Commonwealth, is right to say that people have to decide independently if they want to be part of the Commonwealth family, and that decision will strengthen the Commonwealth, not take away from it. So I think he's being very wise and has chosen his words carefully." William's week-long trip with Kate had been plagued by public relations gaffes and protests about British colonialism, which led to the endeavour being branded tone-deaf to modern sensibilities. The Duke tacitly acknowledged the anti-royalist sentiment in his extraordinary statement, saying that while he was committed to service, that involved not telling people what to do. It is about serving and supporting them in whatever way they think best, by using the platform we are lucky to have, he added.